This semi-final is literally impossible to predict. Hi, I'm Henry, aka Henners. I'm a singer-songwriter, producer, classical musician, and massive Eurovision fan. Today, I'm sharing with you my final predictions for the second semi-final. I have reacted to the songs from this year from my musician brain, so if you want a bit of musical insight into all of the songs, then feel free to go and check out all the reactions I've done so far. I posted my semi-final 1 results reaction from last night, so if you want to go and check out what I thought there, then you can go and watch that video now. Huge thank you to Matt for your very generous donation on Buy Me a Coffee. If you have been enjoying my videos this season and do want to support me, you can do so on Buy Me a Coffee, or you can support me on my Patreon, where you'll get access to exclusive content and copyright-free reactions. So without further ado, let's just get into this. Okay, so I'm going through in running order. What I've done is I have inputted into a spreadsheet the exact amount of points I think each country will get from the jury in the televote, and then I've scaled it up or down so it matches the actual amount of points that are available. So this is a kind of fully simulated prediction, because I feel like that will make my prediction a bit more informed, a bit more accurate, so that's what I'm going to do. So that means we're starting with Bulgaria. So I think this is a bit controversial. I think most people are thinking Bulgaria will make it, and I very much see a world where they do. I think it's important to note that 109 is a very high score for a non-qualifier, and that kind of just shows you how competitive this semi-final might be. I still think Bulgaria might be hiding something big from us, but I'm not too sure. I'm filming this before the afternoon rehearsal and jury shows happen, so I don't actually know yet. But just kind of from what I've seen, I think juries are really going to drag this down. I don't think, compared to other things in the semi-final, the kind of lack of vocal showcase or song that's obviously jury bait, I do like the kind of ethnic elements and the beat switch ups. I do think there is a lot interesting going on here musically, but I don't know if juries will care for it too much compared to other stuff. But televote, you can see 88. I've given it a pretty big televote score. I think televoters love a girl bop. I think this will be a fun semi-final opener. I'm thinking the jury might drag it down, but not because it's bad or not because she's a bad performer, more just kind of luck of the draw that a lot of other things in the semi-final are gonna attract more jury hype. But yeah, again, it's important to note that 109 is still a massive score, and that if this was in semi-final 1, it would have been a very different question, I think. Okay, so sorry to start off so negative. Let's move on to something else negative. Azerbaijan. Don't know if this will come, well, this won't come as a shock, I'm sure. I think it will maybe pick up a few jury points, because obviously her vocal is good. I'm sure there are some countries that have maybe a bit of an allyship with Azerbaijan, although not actually in the semi-final, which is actually going to hurt Jiva a bit, I think. The vocal will give it some points, but again, there are songs that have a lot more experimental, artistic, original composition to them. The lyrics obviously aren't that great for this song, and musically it's nothing too special. I think the main thing for her is the vocals. Honestly, I think the staging, I appreciate what they've done with the storyline, her being kind of held hostage by this man and breaking free from like an abusive relationship. I think that's a really important topic to showcase on the stage, but I think they've done it in quite a messy way, and we will see a bit later that there are countries that have done that a lot more successfully, I think. So I have given it 0 from the televote. I just can't really see this being in any country's top 10 for now, and jury, I think it's just going to pick up a few limited number of points here and there. Okay, moving on to
Romania,
who I have put in 4th. Yes, I think this is a very safe qualifier. I've just been getting more confident in it, especially after those photos and videos from the rehearsals were released. So I've given it a pretty high jury score. I think the original score I put in was higher, but because obviously we know there are so many jury-led entries in the semi-final, it meant that the scores for everyone were kind of brought down a bit just to fit the exact amount of points there are on offer. And I actually really do think this is going to get a very high televote score. I think there'll be a bit of diaspora love, but also I think it's just so unique, so inventive, and I think the staging is very engaging. They've done such a great job at elevating it. I think it's very memorable. Song's catchy. I think people are going to find the little opera elements really cool and interesting, and yeah, I think this is going to do great with the televote and come in 4th. So we move on to Luxembourg. Unfortunately, I think I was quite underwhelmed personally by the rehearsal footage we got from this one. I think they could have done such a good job with it, but yeah, I think her vocals and the kind of nice, pleasant sound of the song and its composition will pick up a few jury points here and there, and it won't come that low with the juries. I'm not actually sure if this is technically in my jury top 10 or not. I can't quite remember. But yeah, I think televote, they're really going to struggle, especially with no voting neighbours at all, no extra help there. But I think maybe we'll get some from maybe younger audiences or people who kind of find the song memorable, because I feel like it does have a fairly catchy hook to it. So I don't think it will be completely forgotten, but I just don't think it's going to be that wow enough for a lot of people. So yeah, unfortunately, I do think this will be Luxembourg's first non-qualification, but again, they've only been in semi-finals 3 times, so it kind of had to happen at some point, unless you're Ukraine. Okay, moving on to Czechia, who I have in 5th. I mean, the rehearsal footage just looks stunning, really cool artistic camera work stuff going on. So I think the visual engagement side of things, they've kind of got ticked off and is safe. I think juries obviously are going to love this vocal. It won my personal top 10 singers of this year based on like vocal technique stuff, if you want to go check that video out. And also musically in the composition got some really unique chords, really interesting structure to the song. I mean, it's like very much jury bait. He has consistently delivered a stunning vocal, and also in a way like it's the first man of the semi-finals, so I mean I don't think people are really going to care about it that much, so I feel like maybe it's had a bit of luck with running order too. Televote, obviously we know Czechia get like no help from anyone with base points. I do think people will appreciate this. I mean, I don't think it's a televote magnet and it's not going to do amazingly, but I really keep kind of going back and forth, like do I kind of push above 50 towards 60 and beyond, or like is it really going to be like a 20 to 40 zone maybe with the televote? I've gone 52 for now, apparently, kind of playing it safe a bit. It's kind of hard to tell, but I do think it's going to stand out in its spot and be memorable as the mirror guy with incredible vocals. So I do think it's going to pick up points here and there and get into the top 10 of a fair few countries, but maybe just not the top kind of 6 up to 12 points. I think he'll get maybe a lot of 2s and 3s possibly. I'm not too sure, to be honest, but I do think it's going to be absolutely fine and I'm sure it will qualify easily. Okay, so we move on to Armenia. Wow, I'm being so controversial with this one. I don't know if this is actually that controversial, but again, quite close to Bulgaria. But I don't know, the rehearsal footage just really like struck me, and I felt like it was very polished and clean, very obviously kind of targeting that audience that like humour entries. But I think the choreography and stuff just looked really slick. I feel like the visual cohesion of the whole thing was just so clear and so tangible, and I think it will be very much memorable. That doing the kind of breaking out of office job thing probably a bit better than the UK is, I have to say, although they're very distinct in their own ways. But this choreography is looking great. I just think televote audiences will love this, which is why I've given it as many televote points as I have. Jury score, I've actually not completely bombed it. I think in my initial predictions before I saw the footage and videos and photos and stuff, I had it a lot lower. Again, I don't think there's anything crazy going on with this song, but I mean, there are some cool different scales that are different than the classic Western major and minor ones, and some cool ethnic sounds. So I think even composition, it has some fun stuff going on. But I think the main thing is he's delivering such a great, consistent performance despite doing such intense choreography. His breath support is obviously great, which I feel like is something juries are going to appreciate enough for it to not get like no points from the jury, which is why it's got 25 points. And just in this simulation I've done, it's happened to just squeeze through over the line into 10th. Don't know how much of a shock that might be to people that I've put it there. You'll have to let me know your predictions, of course. Okay, moving on to Switzerland. So again, 106 points is a lot, especially for a non-qualifier. It will be a huge shame if it doesn't qualify because it's a great song. I think it's very unique. It's a lot more kind of mainstream and current and different to other songs around it in the Eurovision world, a bit like in the same way Poland was, which maybe might help it. But again, I don't think she has a vocal quite in the same tier as Alicia, which is why her jury score might not be the highest ever. But I think a combination of the staging with these kind of themes, again, of kind of domestic violence and being held hostage in a relationship is something that's very obviously visually clear and something I think juries will appreciate a lot, especially younger jurors probably. And I think younger jurors will also especially appreciate the slightly different, more modern genre of this song, the kind of indie singer-songwriter vibe. The staging does look really cool. I mean, I'll have to kind of get more info later, I think, about the specifics of the staging, because the clip looked really cool and I really appreciate the visuals and was maybe slightly messy. For me personally, I don't know about televote. I think it will get some love from the people that appreciate this specific niche of music, and I think it will stand out to some, but I just don't know compared to others that it's going to get quite enough to push it over the line for now, unfortunately, which is really sad. Okay, so we move into the technical second half into Cyprus. So I have said that she will qualify. I mean, her jury score obviously is fairly low because I don't think vocally it's the best thing ever, but I think some jurors will appreciate the high energy vibe of it, and the staging looks kind of slick and the choreography's cool and stuff. So I think it will get a few points here and there. I think obviously their main thing is going to be the televote. I think it's such a bit like with Moldova, there's such a clear expression of Cypriot identity, which I think is something casuals especially really love. They love kind of a performance where they don't shy away from kind of letting you know all about the country's culture, which I think the song does perfectly. The song itself is obviously very catchy and very memorable. So I think the song in its own merit, I think a lot of people it will kind of be one that sticks in their head, especially from seeing the recaps. It's just kind of an easy melody to remember. So I think in terms of public vote, it will do well. And again, audiences love a bit of a girl bop. So yeah, I think she'll be fine in that sense. Okay, moving on to Latvia. Oh no, again, such another great performance that if it had a bit of a better draw or is in a different year, definitely could qualify. I think her jury score is going to be great because especially that vocal from the rehearsal clip I heard was literally the best vocal I think I've heard from her. I mean, she's a great vocalist anyway, but I think juries are absolutely going to love that. I think they'll love the staging. My mum actually said when we saw the kind of roundup of the semi-final 2 songs, the glass went round and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I was like, you know what, it is. And it was really cool the first time I saw it. I haven't really thought of it since then. And I think that's something that juries especially will like. Televote, I don't think like public audiences are going to watch this and hate it and be like, this is really boring, it's really dull. I think some people will connect with it and the cool visuals. I just think compared to everything else around it, it's just not the televote magnet that you think of when you think of like entries that do really well in the televote, like Romania, like Greece from the other semi-final. I just see all of these other sort of bigger, flashier entries eating into the televote a bit more. Obviously, I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I mean, I said this about Belgium and look, they qualified. So I don't really know, but that's my prediction for now. I will say I am very acutely aware, and I hate that every single one of the non-qualifiers I've put is a woman. I promise you that is not intentional, not some kind of unconscious bias. I have thought very deep and hard about the points that each of these entries will get just as entries, and I would hate that this be the case. I think if any of the men are likely to non-qualify, it's probably Armenia. But I think also this semi-final is very female dominant, I believe, so I think naturally it's more likely to be more women that don't qualify. So I just wanted to put that out there that I am aware of that. I'm so sorry to these incredible women. Again, if the semi-final was like a different draw, I see a world where, well, everyone apart from Jeeva, bless her, can qualify. Okay, so we move on to Denmark, who I've actually now seems to have predicted to win the semi, which I think is the first time I've done that in a prediction. I think most of them it's been Ukraine winning every time, so I don't actually know why that's happened. There we go. I do think his jury score will be high. His vocals are great. If he doesn't have any slight blips like he has done a few times, I think he'll be absolutely fine. I think the song is actually quite unique. It's like a boy bop, and it's not like it's funny. I mean, you'll all know what I mean, because I feel like we all felt like this when we heard the song for the first time. It's not like groundbreaking, but it's got this kind of quite unique sensuality to it. It's like a bit kind of, it's just very intriguing. I feel like it really entices the viewer in. The choreography is very slick. The staging is great. I'm talking about a Danish staging, which I love that Denmark have got their together and have done a great staging. So yeah, I think juries will be fine. Televote will love this, especially Euro fans will rally around it. There is obviously the argument and debate that it's maybe too sexual for some casual audiences, which yeah, maybe will jeopardise it slightly, probably more so in the final, I would have thought, because the semi-final audiences are slightly more Euro fan, not dominant, but kind of proportionately there are more Euro fans voting and watching. So I think you will get a pretty decent televote, especially as it's fun, upbeat between Australia and Latvia, who are both kind of like female ballads. So I think it will stand out a lot. So we move on to Australia, who I have put in third. I think I've made her win the jury here. Very obviously quite flashy staging. She looks stunning. The visuals I've seen so far are stunning. I think she's going to be flying up all over the place, probably, from what I've heard. Again, I haven't seen the full thing yet, but I think it's going to be something that juries love. And I think the name recognition side of things, there might be a few jurors who are like, oh yeah, Delta. Oh, I can't put Delta that low. Oh, we've got to move her up to the top kind of thing, which maybe shouldn't be how it is. But actually with a vocal like hers, I think that is totally fine. If they'd done that with Boy George, I maybe would have said differently. But yeah, I think Delta's vocal is going to be her main thing. Obviously, the song is not the most unique thing ever, so I don't know if it's going to be a runaway lead with the jury in the semi-final, like maybe Finland may have been with the other semi-final, but I still think Australia will get a great score, and televote I think will get a good score too. Again, Australia, a bit like Czechia, struggle a bit with the televote, but I think this is such a good performance that it will pick up a good few points here and there, but just maybe not like the top ones. Okay, so we move on to Ukraine, who are actually only 1 point behind Denmark, so they've only just lost that lead there. I think juries will love her vocal. I love the kind of contrast between her more soft, ethereal, folky vocal and the more kind of Slavic white voice, more intense chesty elements. The song is really pretty, but also it's got these kind of more brutalist sounds. So I think there's quite a nice fusion to it there. I think jurors will appreciate. Staging looks quite stunning and beautiful and quite well presented. Of course, it's Ukraine. They can never do wrong with staging. I don't know if it will be obviously that wow for jurors to rank it right at the top, but I definitely don't think it will be that far behind the kind of top 3-ish. And then televote, I think, will love it. And obviously there's diaspora support and solidarity support, which will help them, but also I think it is a beautiful song and will probably be memorable to some people who enjoy that kind of niche of music. I definitely think it's got a sort of Enya feel to it, and she's got quite artistic makeup, and her outfit I feel like is quite memorable for its more avant-garde, kind of white and black vibe it has to it, quite flowy. I feel like will be memorable to certain audiences, so I think it will do great with the televote, and I think it will win the televote probably. So we move on to Albania, and obviously after Latvia there's a spoiler that I predicted everyone else to qualify. So Albania I think will do great with the jury, but I think these huge jury powerhouses, I think Albania is a huge jury powerhouse, but I think the other ones might just eat into the points a bit. I think Denmark, Ukraine, Australia and Czechia will kind of dominate the top 4 points from most of the countries, and then because they're kind of eating up a big portion of it, Albania looks like it's a lot further down than it actually kind of is in the ranking. But I mean, 80 jury points would be great. I think maybe if obviously we haven't seen much of the staging, and I think they are kind of keeping things hidden from us, but if it is kind of, they stick more to the Alice in the smoke, mainly black LEDs with the big mother on the LED, it may get slightly lost compared to more flashy ones, and I think there are other minimalist artistic ones like Czechia, Ukraine, Latvia that are maybe doing it a bit more in a memorable way, the more minimalist messaging, if you get what I mean. But I think people will really resonate with the message, especially as there's subtitles, and it will pick up quite a bit of televote love, maybe less so in the final, I'm not too sure though, or maybe more so because it will have more voting neighbours. It didn't really luck out Albania with the semi-final and other Balkans voting in it, but I think it will get love from a fair amount of countries and come in 6th. So we move on to Malta, who I think will come just behind Alice. I think a few reasons it's a bit lower is one, because again, Malta get even less televote help than Albania. I think it doesn't help this weird running order where there are 2 back-to-back male ballads. I think the second one is always gonna kind of struggle, because the first one, it feels new and fresh after the UK have performed. Oh, it's a nice break. We've seen a upbeat male, now we've got like a ballad, more intense, emotional one, and then there's another ballad that's quite intense and emotional from a man. So I feel like the second one maybe is more likely to be forgotten, which is why the televote is a bit lower. But I think the cool visual effects with the Zoe trope and the kind of timeless nostalgic feel of the song, which is very unique and something I think juries will appreciate too, I'll talk about in a bit, will mean that it will get a bit of support going for it, especially as it's later in the running order. Or maybe I would actually give Czechia a bit less and Malta slightly more, maybe swap those around, I'm not too sure. But jury, yeah, I think it would be great. The reason it hasn't pushed 100 and above is because I did input it as something that's above 100, I think, but because there are so many jury songs, they all get scaled down to fit the amount of points that are actually available because it's so competitive. And I think juries will like his vocal. It's quite kind of a unique tone he's got to his voice. I mean, it's not like the most wow thing ever, which is why it probably won't be as high, and the staging is really cool and interesting, so I think juries will appreciate that. But there are a lot of cool and interesting stagings in the semi-final, so it might struggle to push for the top jury points, but I think Malta should be fine. But oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're going to be sitting there tomorrow seeing a qualifier reveal for the semi-final. It's literally going to be crazy. So we move on to our final performer of the semi-final, Norway. I think Norway will get some love from the jury, actually, because I think it does stand out with that kind of Freddie Mercury throwback thing. The pop rock vibe is quite unique, but done quite well, I think. They haven't gone too flashy, too intense, maybe a bit like Estonia did. Doesn't really feel cringe. It actually just feels quite like he's just taking on the role of a big pop star, like playing at Live Aid or something like that. Televote audiences that will appreciate stuff like this maybe will like the kind of tongue-in-cheek horniness of it, although I know he has been told to tone down some of the moves. I think we'll rally around it, and I think his sensuality is maybe more kind of comedic than like Denmark, so it will be maybe less detrimental to Norway, although you could have said the same thing for Erica, I'm not too sure. And I think, again, yeah, juries will love his vocal. Obviously, I think the song actually does have some unique chords and elements to it, but it's not the most obviously jury bait, like artistic ballad, so I don't think it's going to do amazingly, but I think it'll be enough combined with the televote to get it over the line. So looking at this, main things, again, very sorry, and hope that it's not just women that don't qualify. Bulgaria and Switzerland, despite being non-qualifiers in this, still have extremely high scores and are quite close to Norway and Armenia, in all honesty. Switzerland and Bulgaria as delegations, if they were to get those scores, should still be happy because those are great scores. I think it's just unfortunate, the draw here. Bit of a drop down to Latvia, but kind of explained everything there. Yeah, I think Bulgaria could maybe overtake something like Norway or Armenia potentially, just if that is more kind of jury appeal that we haven't seen yet. So I'm not too sure. Same with Switzerland. I think, honestly, actually, if an audience rallies behind this more and juries do love it more than I think they might love it, like maybe with what happened with Belgium, then again, I think Switzerland could get through. Same with Latvia. To be fair, if juries really push for it and televote doesn't completely flop, the other two I think is very unlikely. But I don't know who would maybe not qualify. Oh, it's really hard, this semi-final. You're going to have to let me know what your predictions are. Okay, so that is where I'm at now with this semi-final. Please let me know all of your opinions, because this semi-final is so hard to predict, so it'll be really interesting to hear from you guys what your opinions are. Please feel free to share them. This is like our last chance to tell each other our predictions before the semi-final actually happens. Sad. So let's go to town. Everyone share their predictions. What do you think of my opinions? Feel free to let me know. I won't be offended if you disagree. Go to town on me as long as you're not too mean, but I don't really mind, to be honest. I will see you tomorrow with, maybe the day after tomorrow, probably actually, with my results reaction to the second semi-final, which is probably going to be tea. If you want to go see my semi-1 results reaction, feel free to go check that out now. Thank you so much for watching, as always. I can't wait to see you in another video very soon. Goodbye.